Tonight on Video Game Movie Anatomy, we're going to be covering 1994's Double Dragon, a film which will live in infamy. So, press start, game on, and let's watch!
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk, we talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Video Game Movie Anatomy.
Hell yes, we are rocking the Double Dragon Neon soundtrack. Welcome to Video Game Movie Anatomy. I am one of your hosts, the internet's Mark B. Donica. You can follow me on Twitter at Mark B. Donica. Joining me, we have the Marian to our Double Dragon crew. We have Mrs. Stacey Shuttleworth.
Hi guys, I'm Stacey Shuttleworth. You can find me at Ye Old Nerd on Twitter, mostly crying about this movie this week.
You have been. This is true. This is true. I empathize.
And of course, the Abobo to our Double Dragon.
Yes!
Mr. Patrick Dees.
Oh, that's way better an intro than I thought. Hey, I'm Patrick Dees. Greetings from New Los Angeles. You can find me at Twitter at P to the D's.
And from the other side, I'm from Old York.
Old York?
As opposed
yeah.
to...
Right.
Gosh dang it. So, today we are covering the classic 1994 picture.
That's a word for it.
Words.
The E.T. of video game movies.
Sure.
I don't think it was
In
that
the sense
bad.
that it's still a film?
Well, no.
In that genre.
E.T. the Atari game
Oh.
for the video game industry.
I like what you did there.
Okay.
Double Dragon
Okay,
for the
I
video
thought
game
you were
movie industry.
talking about the beloved Spielberg
God.
classic.
That's all, yeah. Right comparison.
So
Yes.
here's the deal. Here's Double Dragon.
Yes.
Two brothers have half of a powerful ancient Chinese talisman. An evil gang leader has the other half and determines to get the brother's half and have a complete medallion so he can gain absolute power of just New Los Angeles.
Of absolute
Just
power.
that city, though.
Just that.
Just that
Is
city.
that
That's
too
all.
much to ask? This movie has a lot of gold, whether it's fool's gold or not. We'll leave that up to you.
Any objection to looping this music the entire
No, I would have, dude. The whole soundtrack to Neon is so killer.
This is literally better than the entire film.
And
This is amazing.
I will-
Steven, please do not take it off.
I actually think there's a link up there for the entire soundtrack. I actually have a lot to say about this game when we get to the end of the show.
Cannot wait.
So first, let's just do, as a way to get into our initial thoughts, we're going to go into our speed run. So a speed run is a quick take on the film. It's a definitive statement such as Mortal Kombat has a cheesy script but nails the spirit of the game. Quick, simple, to the point. Usually we don't do quick, simple, and to the point. It is a failed speed run where people do not break the Mario World record
All right,
as
sorry.
was this past week.
Nope.
But who wants to go first with their speed run?
I'd like to hear Stacey's.
All right.
I would. Just please.
Okay, well, Double Dragon can't seem to decide whether it's a post-disaster action flick or a mystical martial arts film. It really doesn't matter, though, because it fails dismally on both counts. And pretty much on every other count, too.
It's brutal. I feel like for people keeping score at home, we should like tally those. Like whose speed run is the most damning as we go. Like, I just want to one up Stacey. That's all I want. All right, I'll go next. Mark, you want me to
Go ahead.
All right, fair enough.
You want to go? Feel free.
I really do. For those keeping score at home, let's see if I can compete with that last one. The Double Dragon film is a little more than a novelty for gamers to see how badly wrong a movie-based video game or a video game-based movie can go. The characters are just as two-dimensional as they are in the game. The dialogue is ridiculous, and the action is weak. The film's only saving grace is that as a viewer, it is difficult to look away from what's happening. It is a very real, what were they thinking film.
Wow.
Instantly. That was pretty
Interesting.
damning.
That's
pretty good.
Spent some time on that.
See, I mean, we were
He's
gonna
gonna
add,
come back and be the like the.
Well, no, we were
I
gonna
don't
add.
listen.
We were gonna add the Patrick's positivity corner.
Yes.
And the past couple of weeks, there's just been no room for it. It's like Matt Damon. We've had no time for it. So for me, 1994's Double Dragon succeeds at being everything but a video game-based film. It's as if the studio saw a classic Jackie Chan movie and said, "Can you try to do this better?" And they couldn't. Because they tried to do an American version of a comedic martial arts movie, and it just didn't work.
It
They
felt
didn't
a
have
little Rumble in the Bronxy.
It was supposed
Yes.
to. We had props,
Yep.
we had comedy. Comedy and action split up in between two characters, which wasn't. We actually are going the whole
I
soundtrack.
can't.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Great.
I feel better already. I'd have been
Heartening.
early to
One
this
strike.
taping if you'd have told me this. I feel like.
Yeah, I've been listening to it all day. They tried to do something and absolutely failed at it. and which is unfortunate because for Mark Dacascos, I loved him. His performance was great. He did get a couple of the cheesy lines, but he brought the martial arts legitimacy.
Sure.
Right.
Whereas Scott Wolf, that's right, the Scott Wolf brought the quote unquote comedy and laid it on. Both were laid on super thick early on. And instead of being able to fade into it to make them likable, it was like they were shouting at the audience to like these people, like instead of giving them their time, and it was really unfortunate.
It was. The whole movie was.
So
I feel bad. I want like Patrick's positivity corner. I'll think on a couple. If nothing
about
else,
it.
those
I have
sweet
a couple.
bedazzled
Little
uniforms at the end.
dude, that's what I'm going.
Right?
Pure
Oh,
red,
man.
Dude. It's all over.
repping the red and the blue, man.
Yeah, all right.
Like-
I like it.
Nice.
I've become a big Double Dragon fan in loving the Simpsons arcade game and the side scroller beat 'em ups.
Sure.
Last episode we talked about Scott Pilgrim and its beat 'em up game, but ever since being able to afford Double Dragon and go back to the NES and even Double Dragon Battletoads meets Double Dragon, that was fun, and then Double Dragon Neon, just absolute awesomeness, and we're going to get to see whether it's time for a reboot or not. But we'll go from here to our controller toss moment, which is that moment you're watching the film and you suddenly have you've got to be kidding me. And if this was the NES, you wouldn't be able to throw it very far, but you throw your controller across the room, possibly bending the cables and not being able to use it anymore. So we've used this as a positive note. Probably not going to be that for this case. Controller toss moments. I'm so amped.
I could tell you're really excited today.
Do you want to go first? I want to hear your controller. Like, you've got a good one, and I feel like I don't want to step on any toes. Right?
mean,
He's locked and
Right?
loaded over
You
here.
go.
It's the music. It's everything.
Okay.
Like right now, this episode is going a lot into the upper echelon than I initially thought it would be. So for me, I had a couple. Not surprisingly, it took me a while to get to the controller toss moment.
Okay. It took you a while?
And then now thinking back, I'm like,
past the opening credits?
well, thinking back, there is another one. But I'd say my first legitimate one. It would have to be the gangs it's the gang attack where all of the unified gangs attack Billy and Jimmy.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all of the different what themes like schoolboys.
Going on here? The
YMCA.
Mailman.
It is.
We'll get
it
to the
is
Mailman.
absolutely the YMCA.
But
Just
all of the different.
no.
jumps off the.
so
Unbelievable.
So that moment was just like, I have no idea who these people are, why they're dressed this way. So that was one.
not?
Thinking back, the head case line where he traps one of the bad guys' ponytail in the briefcase and
Yeah.
says,
Oh, I know.
what a head case. And I was like,
Oh, I know.
I'm sure they tried to put his head in it, and then it just didn't work, and it was too dangerous.
Dog, how many people signed off on that line? Like, they do
God.
this thing where, like, he closes his ponytail, and he's like, what a head case, and he freezes at the camera. Like at what
they're
point
expecting it to
does
go off.
Party of Five not go, hey, I can't say this, like, in good conscience? Like, at what point does somebody be like, hey, not a good idea?
Cut that
No,
one.
that is an
Move on.
absolute-
There's nobody that watched, I guarantee nobody watched this movie and said, that was great. That was like, I was on the fence, and then that sold me.
What
The
a beautiful
studio did.
one-liner.
Yes.
The studio did. That's the problem.
Unfortunately.
So yeah, and then when they finally united the amulets at the end, and Satori comes in a vision.
Oh, it was beautiful.
But the amazing
yes.
thing is having Reverend Patrick look behind like, what the hell? What are they looking at? Amazing. So yeah, I had a couple. How about y'all?
I think I kind of went back and forth on this. I very much meant what I said when, like, this movie is one of those, like, what were they thinking type films. I think once I got 4 minutes into this, there's no way I wasn't finishing it because I needed that closure, right? Like, we talk about this being therapy a lot. No way I would have been able to sleep all right wondering what happened in New Los Angeles without those sweet, like, earthquake jacks. I think for me, the commercial where they're selling the earthquake jacks saying, you don't know Jack, was real good.
There was
Beautiful.
no purpose to that scene.
Only
Nothing.
to justify, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it was so bizarre. Like, if it were something they would come back to, right, or bookend, or like, and no,
There's no payoff.
There was none whatsoever.
The only time you saw it was
there.
at the
fight.
That's it.
with a little person working the jack and
Yeah.
like dissipating energy. I don't know what he's doing that entire time. And then to justify that scene, I felt like they had to work in the commercial.
Yeah. We have to explain this clearly visible idea that we presented.
It's just insane. I think so. I have a quote from the very beginning. So like I watched this and literally had to rewind the scene, the opening scene, right? The very like I literally went, wait, what? He did what? It says thousands of years ago in China, an evil army of shadow warriors terrorized the great city of Changsha. To save his people, the good king sacrificed himself to create a mystical medallion, realizing the ultimate powers of the medallion, blah, 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 blah. Wait, what? To save his people, the good king sacrificed himself to create a mystical medallion. Wait, what? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, what did he do?
He sacrificed himself.
I mean, what does that
sacrificed himself.
mean?
He
He
sacrificed
said,
himself.
"I am sacrificing myself. Do what you will." And
And that made him, that just,
Yeah.
he turned
I prefer
into a
medallion. I prefer
Make me a
medallion that's twisted
medallion
too.
of power.
I can't. I knew I was in for a ride when that was the detailed exposition that they were gonna
Well,
give.
the top of
Strong
the
open.
top of the movie says somewhere in China.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, that was
Oh,
the
yeah,
first
yeah.
thing I heard.
Just,
I was like, oh,
you know,
great. We're in for a ride.
China-ish.
China-ish.
Resembles China. Sure.
No, better if we put China question mark. China?
China? Sure.
All right. Why not? Let's work with it. Stacey, well, you got a controller test moment
All
for
right,
us.
so my first one was when they were in the cars, originally like getting into the gang territory
Oh, yeah.
after dark, and all of a sudden there's this human Pokedex technology in the cars, telling them about the gang members they were looking at.
Sounds about right.
yes.
That was about
Oh,
when
yeah,
I realized I was in for one hell of a ride.
I mean,
IMGD, like the Internet
Oh.
Movie Gang Database, is available in your rig.
Apparently.
well, I mean,
Yeah.
it's so, and the thing is, it makes sense. Follow me on this.
Okay.
I cannot wait.
So here's what's up. The police and the gangs have a bit of an accord.
Sure.
right.
License plate tracking technology is
Totally.
something that has existed for years.
Sure.
Now, in the power struggle, the gangs probably raided the police database.
Yep.
And now have that same technology.
Totally makes sense. Let's
Okay.
share across. So my big question is, at what point do they validate certain metrics? Like, I want to know, was that 800 pounds that he benches verified by anybody? Because I don't.
It's like Wikipedia.
I
They
just,
updated
yeah,
themselves.
totally. He's
Put their
like,
own
you know, Bubba was like, 800 pounds.
I
much
can
is-
totally do this.
Patrick, the weight limit has a blue check mark on Twitter,
Ah,
so
it's
it is indeed verified.
That's what I was looking for.
Wonderful.
Sick.
Steven knows this.
But yeah, so on top of that, think about it. They have car tracking technology, which we have today, and this was 8 years ago, 9 years ago, because this all took place in 2007.
Yeah.
So they have car tracking technology. They have the similar technology that they put in the movie. So it's not that far of a stretch. And to think of how imaginative this was. We have actual cameras as opposed to crappy 3D graphics, which most of the budget, I'm sure, went to.
To the video
bumper
game
cam?
scene? Yeah.
Oh, no, not that. Don't give me.
You must be
bumper
great.
cam.
Yeah, it's so bad.
You must be great at video games. This is one of the early places where they're like, it's not a game anymore. Like,
Oh my gosh.
they like, you get it? It's a video game movie. Understand this. But despite everything, we do have a pretty remarkable cast for 1994 for this movie, and some would even say today, arguably, Robert Patrick plays our bad guy, Koga Shuko.
He does.
And what a job he plays.
What a job.
So the weirdest thing that I found, like while watching this movie, I went, and this movie counts. Make sure to keep it tabbed. What came out first, this or The Fifth Element? Because there's a lot of Shuko in Zorg. Yeah, in Zorg in The Fifth Element, and that came out 3 years later. They're looking for, give me the stones, give me the amulet. Like it's
Yeah.
weird hair,
Yep.
like bizarre type
Yeah.
of character. He played it a little too cool for school for me, but was he a credible threat?
Is anything in this movie credible at all?
A Bobo.
They just
I mean-
kind of throw it at you and are like, here, he's the biggest threat. But why? Just cuz.
He's a shadowman.
When Party of Five cries when he's like, I'm not strong enough to beat him by myself. And I'm like, nobody's literally had a problem fighting him at all. He gets punched in the face a million times. Everybody's strong enough to beat him. I think Aboa was actually way more terrifying as a two-dimensional sprite. Because that guy looks terrible and terrifying.
I will say though, Nils Allen Stewart, he does a lot of strong guy roles back around this time, and before they mutated him, I loved it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was legit. It was a legitimate person.
Yeah.
Turning him into a weird alien muscle-bound mutant. Like Abomo's just a big guy in the game.
Oh yeah, totally. I felt like they looked at a really weird, screwed up sprite and said, "Let's make that as accurate as possible."
Are those his shoulders?
This is last. Or was this some weird 90s interpretation of what roids just does to you, right? Like you grow these things, these delts that go up over your like.
Accurate.
I will say it is a pretty accurate create a character thing where they just put all of the muscles to max.
Just the sliders all the way.
Yeah. This is some Skyrim biz. So the Lee brothers, and I have to do it once, Bimmy and Jimmy, for those of you who played Double Dragon 3, they misspelled their own main character's name, and it said Bimmy and Jimmy Lee, so it takes everything in me not to say Bimmy. But Jimmy Lee, played by Mark Dacascos, a la Cuisine, who we now know as the chairman of Iron Chef America, as well as other roles, and Scott Wolf, Party of Five himself, playing Billy Lee. These were our two leads. What do y'all think?
I don't like what do you like? That question's just brutal. Like, what is there to think? I don't. It was very challenging to watch. So like,
Very challenging.
it was a weird choice. Scott Wolf.
Scott Wolf was at the top of the game right now. He's the hottest actor on TV.
I get it.
Like,
But
looking to
you
make a
can't-
transition into films. This is something that appeals to the younger generation. For casting wise, and he doesn't have to do a lot of heavy lifting with the martial arts. Scott Wolf is a wonderful choice. But the script and the performance itself, a lot of this is studio going, this should be great. And then he's like, here's the movie. What did you do?
That happens.
I think that there's it's easy to kind of throw it and say, hey, look, he's not gonna do a lot of the heavy lifting for the market, but doesn't even look remotely competent. I'm not saying I can kick higher than my head. I'm not making that assertion. But if I were in a movie coming out in theaters, I literally would be training all day, so I looked remotely competent, like throwing a punch. Does that make sense? Like watching this guy, it's like one of these guys clearly is a martial artist, and then the other one jumps on somebody's back in a fight in a tournament with the prize money. Like I don't like. Yeah, it was a little rough.
Stacey?
I mean,
Sums it up.
the characters themselves, and that didn't help at all. No matter how good the actors were, it was the script and what they tried to achieve and failed. That just it didn't work at all.
I can agree with that. Jimmy, after they lose, or after Satori gets killed, and they just have the huge moment of, you need to grow up! I'm sorry. Instant, no change there. That should have been a really emotional scene. We didn't really get a huge idea of their relationship with Satori.
No.
This was 126 minutes, and I think they could have used an extra 20 minutes, maybe with them growing up, and maybe you get to see why they're acting this way. Who knows? I just want more Double Dragon. All right? Maybe I'm
very little of that.
I'm the only person on this table who said that. And speaking of Satori, Julian Nixon plays their mentor, guardian. I thought she was fantastic.
Did you?
I did. No,
did you?
I thought for what she was given, I thought she did great. They didn't give her a lot to work with.
She was fine. My point is that it's like all I had to do is not have her get in the way. But her casting and then that relationship is kind of jarring. Like I don't understand how she fits into any of this. So she took them off the streets, which you kind of find out later. When she's gone, wait, what? She's your age or 15 minutes older. I don't understand.
She did have the one bit of gray.
She looked like maybe a year old. She's the older sister that's buying you booze when you're underage. But you know what I mean, right? She's not a mother figure or a guardian in any capacity. So
no, I can see that.
Also didn't look like a competent martial artist. When they made that comment, we're like, oh, we should go back and help. Do you think she needs helping? No, she's fine. And I'm like, granted, she fought Terminator and he wasn't very tough either, but
I think depending on who they had taking those kicks from her, she was playing it safe. She wasn't going full force with it.
Sure.
So that's another thing from the production side. What about you, Stacey? Julia Nixon.
I mean, she did what she could with what she had. I think there just wasn't very much to work with.
Running
Again,
theme of this
it is.
film, right?
It just-
Double Dragon.
Sorry.
That's
yes.
all right. And then our other female lead, let's just skip Lash. Alyssa
no.
Milano.
This is what I wanted to get
as
to.
Marian Delario.
This was the surprise of the film, as far as
What?
I'm concerned. Runs away with it. So glad we got to see. I look legitimately like it was that just added that level of, oh, this is getting real weird. When she turns around, she's got the graffiti coat, right? That graffiti camouflage,
yeah.
and she turns around and flips it, and is like, it's Alyssa Milano. I'm like, bring it on, right?
Yeah.
At this point, I'm expecting to see animated characters and like full on like Wonder Shows and drug trip. Let's do this. I was like, this was a controller in the best possible way when she came.
It took us there.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a street punk. The power core.
Definitely.
Does she strike you as the leader of a gang like this?
It's hardcore. Definitely done some
Yeah.
time. Like prison, hardened. She get the little tear. Listen, Milano's tough. Look, I think literally they cast her so they could say the phrase, now who's the boss?
Terrible.
It was or was it the best?
Or
Yeah.
is this the
Or-
one time where you're going positive on me?
Look, at some point it's this weird, like you have to find something, right? It's a
Right.
Stockholm syndrome with this movie. I'm like, it's pretty good.
That was great.
It's all right. Who's the boss
Yeah.
now?
I did find it kind of cool how they cast her little brother as her little brother.
Oh, yeah.
Just as a fun, like, hey, do you know any little kids? I am brother.
That one.
And he was using a VR headset.
Oh, I know.
Yes.
Which is
Oh,
now
I know.
a thing.
I
Yep.
know. I
That was
know.
pretty cool.
That was pretty great.
When was the Oculus? Was that like 2010s, like early 2010s?
2011 was
Yeah.
just before their acquisition, right?
Okay, so yeah, that like to think that we're there.
Well, I mean, but come on, like Nintendo did perfect it in the Virtual Boy. Like at this point, it's kind of old technology.
I mean, I love the blood red,
So,
so I mean, it could only go up from there.
how good would that Easter egg be if you bought an Oculus right now and you had a toggle to have it look like a Virtual Boy?
So much brain damage.
Kids
Speaking of
ask
brain
your parents.
damage, that's not true.
gosh.
So the plot of this movie is we need to unite the Double Dragon medallion to unlock its power. One of them
Sure.
unlocks the power of the soul. One
Yep.
of them unlocks the power of the body. This is a martial arts movie. Like, cool. We have a MacGuffin, and our heroes and villains are fighting over it. Now, let's go bare bones.
Bare bones.
This is a standard kung fu movie plot,
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
it is.
and
Sure.
then they muck spread on it. Pretty hardcore.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
With paint, brown paint, green paint mostly.
Lots of that.
I mean that's going a little bit far, but yeah, I absolutely think that with different guts, this could have been all right.
Look, you know what it did have going for it? This is what I'll say. Like, this is my effort to find something positive. I kind of loved the setting.
Oh my gosh, the setting was
Like
amazing.
New Los Angeles was incredible. Inconsistencies aside, right? Like, so.
But it was fairly well thought out, I thought, considering the rest of the movie. Okay, considering
After
the
the
rest of
big
the
quake.
movie. It was a fun place to play with, and they had a lot of potential with it, and it just was so sad to see it not used.
It was like
Or
it
not
was fun though.
fleshed out. It was
I
super
kind of
fun.
couldn't wait for the next weird, especially living in Los Angeles, the weird LA references when
So
they're like,
the
take a left on
best
Wilshire.
one, the tourist boat.
Totally.
Still giving
The universal
tours. Oh, it
tourist
was
boat.
Yes.
so good.
It was so
That-
good.
That was the moment when I was like, yes, this is what every apocalyptic movie has been
I
missing.
agree.
Because Los Angeles would still be giving tours.
I totally
They
agree.
absolutely would, and they got that. They nailed that one.
I loved that.
Oddly enough, suburbia was still entirely intact.
Yes.
Oh yeah, why not?
Just in general,
Sure.
we actually have a note on the boat chase sequence.
Oh.
I'm really sad that all the LA references were wasted on, or most of the LA references were wasted on that. You pass by a wasted man's Chinese
You do.
theater.
Right.
You see Capitol Records building just kind of
Yep.
Off to the side.
Tower
Yep.
of Pisa in the background.
Yep.
There could have been more. I would have the fact that this is a movie, or this is a game that takes place on the streets, like Streets of Rage, if you will. This is don't
See what you did there.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, don't be.
I would prefer that movie, but yeah, they didn't take advantage of the fighting on the streets. We're in a junkyard, fine, but like the industrial setting was lost on us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be perfectly frank.
Yeah.
I'm really sad about it.
Even when they did have choreographed fight scenes in locations that could have been really cool, you know, LA-wise, like the theater, that was such a disappointing scene. It could have been so cool running around an old abandoned theater.
But they used the set because it was set up as a home. They just used that stuff.
Right.
Once we got into the stick work from Jimmy, I was like, okay, cool, something to keep my attention because he's an actual martial artist.
Sure.
And, solid stick work there. I
Yes.
really liked it.
I like the bowling pin work, right? I'm sorry. It was cool. I know. Just to come back to the kind of the iconography of Hollywood, I thought that was pretty great. Like weird inconsistencies aside, like at one point they show the water all the way to the Mann's Chinese Theater, and then later it's all the way up to the Hollywood sign.
Yeah.
So water levels are weird.
Right on.
in
Well, I
this
think
new
it could have also terraformed it, so it kind of
Sure.
brought everything around.
Okay.
And like
runs.
I
into-
mean, why not?
Hollywood Hills Harbor.
I kind of I like it. I did love how they ran into the like sunset sign on the
Oh,
freeway.
yeah.
It was kind of like so that like far and away was my favorite part. I was waiting for the next reference or weird obscure like celebrity reference, like the fact that Vanna White was like the
And George
newscaster
Hamilton. And Andy Dick was the weather
Andy
man.
Dick was the weather guy. I would watch the hell out of that guy's news. Like right now, I would watch him be like read the weather.
So awkward.
It was awkward and
So
like
funny. Like, why?
and-
Why so?
I love his commentary too.
How much
like,
are you paying me? How much Coke can I buy with it?
He's like, if you're not near a smog van, do like make more money or something along those lines. Like
Get a job.
get it up, yeah.
Just get a job. How about that?
Perfect.
So
I loved that stuff.
And getting into game similarities, the fact that they had other characters do the iconic spin kick bothered me a little bit more than it probably should have.
Sure.
So in the game, Marian gets punched in the stomach and dragged away by the gang.
She does.
So I do like how for this though they changed Marian's role. I thought it's really cool, and they kept the theme. By the end of the game, you save Marian, but then Billy and Jimmy fight each other for Marian. Right. So at the end, we have the fight between Jimmy and Billy. Nice nod to the game.
Yep.
Right.
Did not like, cannot stand that they had a Double Dragon 2 machine in the background. Like,
yeah.
no, you can't have that exist
I know.
and have them go, wait a minute, I've played that game. This is exactly like that game.
Totally.
Unless you have them
Yeah.
go, I know exactly what to do because I've played that game.
Right.
But they didn't go there.
Could you imagine if Billy's redemption if he was like, I spent years playing Double
Totally.
Dragon, and now it's real? Awesome. Let's go. I know exactly what to do.
That would have been a really fun direction to go in. But
A little
yeah.
more tongue-in-cheek?
With it just kind of there in the background, you know, that went by and I was like, oh, really? That's not a cute reference.
Can we ask the bigger question? Like at one point, did
What is
people,
the bigger question?
Yeah, please tell
The
us.
bigger question, not about this film, it's just all of these. The running and the running theme is this. Like, at what point are people really like going? You know what has a really deep like lore and like really interesting narrative themes? Double Dragon.
See, the problem
Right,
is,
like-
Double Dragon never really expanded into that story other than
It seems
Billy
to
and
go
Jimmy
left and
Lee
right and
fighting again.
steal quarters from you, right? Like it's the original microtransactions, right? Like it's quarter after quarter. It's like how many can you pump into a machine? And like it's amazing to me that feature-length films get built, like scripts get fleshed out based on left to right, take my quarter over and over again. And don't get me wrong, like I'm Captain Video Game Narrative. There are compelling
You're
video
wearing
game
a
narratives.
Last of Us shirt.
I am wearing Last of Us. Like, go play that game. Like, that is incredible. Don't get me wrong. I think the source material, like, especially now, is rich enough to do that. But like, at what point does somebody go, I don't know, why would we write outside of a cash grab? I don't know. I watched the whole time. Like, I could not look away, and I could not understand why somebody went, you know what we should do? We should make a movie out of this. This is like movie all over it.
But by talking about the cash grab, where were the sponsors? You know, this would be like, it's a video game franchise. We're trying to get kids. We should put brands all over this, the surviving brands of New Los Angeles, and make it work. But there was none of that. So that means that there was no investment, from any of the brands that they would probably be pushing on kids at this point.
Yeah, no.
Bizarre. Bizarre.
True, I was missing all of that.
Oh, God. So let's talk about production development a little bit.
Yeah.
So Jim Yukich, don't know because he didn't do much. He did a lot of music video and music documentary work. He shot and directed one of the greatest Iron Maiden concerts live in Rio, which just like couldn't believe it. Like this guy did that. So a lot of the sequences in the movie feel like music videos. They're timed all right to music. Like if you took the dialogue out of the car chase and put a pop song over it,
Okay.
it would make a little bit more sense as opposed to the cartoony like the absolute wah wah.
No.
I mean-
No. Like, this is okay. Like at this time, like really seminally good movies have come out, like Die Hard or whatever, and good music videos like George Michael's like Faith, and like we've seen like really good. There's no part of this is equivalent to any decent music video ever made ever. There's a reason this dude never works again
In film,
In
but he's
film.
been working to this day on music stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit remarkable.
Good for him.
So-
what if he tells people at parties? He's like, so what have you done? I don't. A lot of music videos.
A lot
Stuff.
of music
Never
videos.
filmed. Never.
No, I didn't want to go into film. No.
Nope. Why would I do that?
So he summarized his approach to the film like this: our characters are like normal kids.
Are they?
Really?
Well, 3 kids on an adventure, so we didn't want to make something that kids would almost be too afraid to see. I'd like to make it in a funnier, lighthearted vein.
Let's make a terrifying roid monster.
But it's
Kids
something
will love
that
it.
I know.
but that's the thing is you like other overpowered characters like this, like the Goombas and Mario
Yep,
Brothers,
yep.
make them dumb.
Sure.
Force feed them spinach. You know, kids will love it. It's like
Who hasn't?
spinach
What
is
kid
a-
hasn't
Right,
been
of
force-fed
course.
spinach?
spinach as a
Do a
torture
funnel.
device.
Yep.
Nonetheless.
Spinach is a torture device. That in and of itself sums up this movie so well.
Spinach is a torture
Yes.
device. The boat
Yes.
chase sequence was actually shot in Ohio.
Yeah, makes sense.
They used 700 gallons of gasoline to combine and 200 gallons of alcohol to make that final explosion.
That was the
at
rest
end.
of the budget.
That was it.
those
That
was-
sweet
that was
CGI,
it.
and it was that explosion.
And despite the whole neighborhood being like, hey, gonna be a big explosion coming through, 210 phone calls were made to emergency services throughout the course of 10 minutes.
Amazing.
The village people are chasing some guys in bedazzled suits, and shit's blowing
no.
up. Please help.
No, just the
on the
explosion on
water,
the
the
boat
boat
chase.
scene.
No, I know. I'm
No,
just.
but in general, that was more
I
terrifying.
called about those too.
So
Can we talk about the clowns? Can we talk about the clowns as the gang? Just
the mimes or the clowns?
what was the?
Because
Was
they
it?
had balls.
They had what was the ones with the hands?
Jugglers?
With the, is that like I don't know?
juggler gang?
That is not the most like functional gang outfit, right? Like, can you throw a good punch with those hands? I don't know.
would hope so.
Maybe. I mean, if you could ball them up into a fist.
Some giant, yeah,
Maybe-
some,
maybe
some,
you've
like,
got some extra
those
padding
oversized
there,
Hulk
I don't
hands.
know.
Dude, if there was a Hulk Hands gang, I would
I
so
would
join it.
Day one,
would
sign
be the
me
one.
up.
A Bobo Hands.
Fight Club style, I'm in.
Yes.
Instead
You're
of
too
boxing.
blonde. Yeah.
I just want to
a
see.
bunch of space monkeys wearing Hulk hands.
No,
Oh,
I want to
In
see.
Project Hulk hands, we have no names.
I want to see that scene in Batman versus Superman where they're in the underground fight and Bruce is like paying off people, and where it's just like you see them bring up their hands and one's wearing Hulk hands and the other's wearing Thing hands.
Yes.
Or just
Oh, God.
just
All day.
that would be
Sign me up.
absolutely magical. I would
Wonderful.
love it. There's not too much about the development other than this movie, other than that it happened. So why don't we get to the fun? Let's get to. I didn't grab box office. Whatever. Anyway, doesn't matter. IMDb rates this movie a 3.6. Rotten Tomatoes has it at an 8%, and audience ranks it at a 26%.
I think I probably would have not watched it and come in here and faked it if I'd have seen the Rotten Tomatoes first.
Yeah.
But lamentably, I watched it and then checked the Rotten Tomatoes score. I think I would have been like, yeah, I don't know, people punched each other and stuff.
See,
That
but-
quote was like, ouch.
Would've
I would have like,
fun.
I don't know. Yeah, I would have. You've been like, did you watch this movie, Patrick?
Oh,
Yes.
It's a little.
I
little too,
super watched it.
Totally.
Terrible. Rita Kempley from the Washington Post. While clumsily paced by first-time director Jim Yukich and amateurly acted, the picture does take place against the imaginative backdrop of New Angeles,
I agree.
the urban archipelago formed when the Big One crumpled Southern California.
Best part of the movie.
Yeah, that really was.
No joke.
When the the best received part of your movie is your setting, and you don't spend enough time in it,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what sequels are for.
It's pretty great.
We had the
No.
tease at the end of the movie where Billy and Jimmy were going to stick around. Why build a house when we can rebuild an entire city?
Yeah.
I actually really like that line. That's a great hero line. If used in a better movie,
And if he
probably
would
would
let-
have played
They were
better.
And if he
built
would've-
up to be heroes, though. They just-
And if they were less blingy, I'm like, I can't
Oh.
hear you over the
Just-
outfit. Just
oh yeah.
Could you turn your gi down?
just a little bit.
Dude, I mean, but that's chosen one attire.
I agree. I just want them to rematch those idiots they were fighting in the beginning, but coming back in bedazzled suits.
because then they just like kind of
Yeah,
shake a bit
totally.
and blind them, and then maybe
Yeah.
they can do a spin
See
kick.
the rematch.
Joe Layden from the Moving Picture Show. There is a genial exuberance to the lead performances of Wolf and Dacascos, who behave as though the Lee brothers aren't too many rungs above Beavis and Butthead on the evolutionary ladder.
There we go.
Yeah.
I think they're on to something right there.
We should this Joe Layden should become something.
I mean, and I feel like they tried really hard to kind of have that relationship, that comedic duo, you know, kind of like Bill and Ted or Wayne and Garth type thing with a lot of the one-liners, and it just did not work.
I think
at
the
all.
weirdest thing about it is Jimmy wasn't that character for half of the movie.
No.
Nope.
He was the serious big brother type, and then he was like, no, let's try to make him wacky like his brother. Like,
They threw a lot of comedy in at the end. A lot.
which was uncharacteristic, and where they kind of had a switch where Jimmy started joking a lot and Billy tried to be the serious one. He's like, no man, come on, we can't wear these all the time, we can't use this all the time, that's cheating, that's
Yeah.
not fair.
But there was no reason for it.
No reason.
Like, no character development to get us there.
I mean, they have a sweet high five that they do, right? With
Okay, I enjoyed it.
just
But then
yeah.
they started overusing it, and
I
it was
mean,
just like, all right,
let-
calm down, guys. Calm
Hey, we're
down.
really on to something with that high
It was-
five. Let's use that every
Right?
scene.
It was cool the first two times, and then, like,
Was
after that,
it?
it's just like, well, okay, not cool. I use cool in relative terms to the movie.
Right, fair enough. Fair
okay?
enough. Okay.
We're talking in
That's
terms
fair,
of the
that's
film.
fair.
So before we get to favorite fight scene,
Yeah.
which I am excited to
gosh.
talk about,
Can one pick a favorite?
well, no,
I mean,
the thing, it's like choosing a favorite breath.
child.
Well, the one that gets me to the next. But the thing about the high five, the whole reason that they maximized it was for the reveal that Jimmy got taken over.
Sure.
At the end.
I
Because it's
remember,
like,
yeah.
come on, bro.
Yeah.
All right.
No, that's the only reason why they maximized it. And then when they brought it back, they're like, okay, they're on the same page again.
Yep.
Which nobody cared about.
No.
So, speaking of things that we really care about, let's talk about our favorite fight scenes.
So
There's a lot.
So many to choose from.
We're talking the theater.
Yeah.
We're talking the final fight scene against the two Shadow Warriors.
Oh, yes.
Even
That was incredible.
so much. What do y'all consider your favorite fight from the movie?
I think for me, far and away, it was the Rumble in the Bronx moment when the entire village people were descending on them during the day,
Yeah.
chase them into a shack. And that's my favorite fight. And my favorite moment is right, they're kind of besieged on all sides, and then there's the water. So they're about to begin the water chase. And somebody pokes a hole in the wall and looks in. A Bobo's boy looks in and says, I see you. And he hits him in the eye with a rake. No, you don't. Which we later see, he presumably lost his eye. I don't know what happened, but he's got it like patched and bandaged the rest of the fight. And with humor on point to that degree, I just was like, this is something I am
We needed the sound effect, though,
No.
just for absolute
Oh,
perfection.
What they do
Oh,
use the
they
sound
use
effects
so
like
many sound
when
effects.
they run in their break, right? When they shift gears and pivot, they're like
That was amazing.
it was amazing, right?
Oh my gosh.
I
yes.
kind of again.
Weirdly enough, I think they
This is
were
good
surprisingly under budget, because then when it came to the Foley, they had any sound effect that they wanted.
Sure.
Really. There was a lot of...
Oh,
And
there
then
were so many.
much.
And can we talk a
Yeah.
little bit about Foley? Like, I feel like Alyssa Milano's voice was totally ADR'd that entire sequence. You know when they go meet her?
Yeah.
And it's like a whole different actress. I thought she was doing a character when they go and they slide down that thing and she's with those little like midget ninjas or whatever.
Just kids.
I know. It's more fun if I imagine them all like future like Jack
They're mini ninjas.
Mini ninjas.
Or ninjas.
ninjas.
Oh no.
I look forward to killing you soon.
Sold. Anyway, her voice was I thought she was doing an impression of
But speaking of that, a Bobo at the end, completely different vocal style than
totally.
the rest.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Turn on the light,
Yep.
like slow,
Yeah, totally.
low. Then it's like, hey guys,
Yep.
what was it? The what's up, chicken butt?
Oh.
Like
Yeah.
completely different voice.
Totally. Yeah, let's turn him into a Muppet.
It was.
Super lovable. Again, if that guy had just been animated all of a sudden, just like a really Hanna-Barbera style, just no explanation, if that dude just shows
There.
up, yeah, I would have been all about
That
it.
would've been pretty
Cycle.
good.
Right?
Favorite fight scene, Stacey?
I think with the sticks, I think that was kind of
In the
one
theater.
of the most competent, fight scene moments.
It was a promise of a better tomorrow.
It was.
That never came.
And then it just kind of went downhill from there.
Yeah, that's my favorite too.
The one
love
on
the-
the water almost had some potential to it.
You know what? I did like the final fight between Billy and Jimmy because he sent Scott Wolf through a wall. And that was
Okay.
that was the best action that he did.
I also really
And I
like that
continued to punch out the wall.
Exactly.
Party of Five's escape move is to climb on top of that arcade, like that row of arcade
yeah.
cabinets. Like he's gonna get away. That's his grand escape plan. It was real good.
I
He
feel
thought it out.
He just real
so
good.
sorry for the prop master who had to spray out all of those titles. and,
Totally.
Like, these
Oh,
are
God.
losing all of the
Graffiti,
value. I was like,
yeah.
no, that's an R-type machine. I can see it. Yeah. But also because we got to see some more sweet moves from Jimmy. We got to
Yeah,
see
we
the
did.
reversed backflip
We
up
did.
onto
Oh,
the
yeah.
ledge.
Slow-mo.
Slow-mo.
I know.
Played backwards.
Yes.
That's that trick photography that we
Beautiful.
like in martial
Whoa,
arts
a little
movies.
inside baseball.
Come
Breaking
on.
it down.
Could you not tell? No, he actually
No.
did that.
Very clear.
They should have added the $6 million man. Nope. All right, so let's get to some of our favorite parts. Favorite line. There was a lot. We had some winners in here.
We did.
I will go with my first.
Please.
Speaking of the fight, where all of the gangs come together.
Yeah.
All right.
Never forget. I didn't look up his name because I want to put up an in memoriam. The Mailman.
Oh yeah.
Special delivery airmail.
What is he thinking? That guy's super dead. Not even a little bit, like super dead. He
Super
jumped
dead.
off like a 12-story building.
Yeah,
Best
well.
case scenario, he lands on him and he's still super dead. I don't not know what that guy's strategy was.
Did not.
It's a little
To
upset
New
about
Los
that,
Angeles.
that moment. But kind of. Yeah, I suppose you're right. Right.
And then actually the legitimate
Handsome flair.
line, the legitimate line is, why build a house when we can rebuild the city? I was like, okay,
All right.
that's a pretty good line. I also did like, this water's gross. It should have a seat and a lid over it.
Yeah.
Mine.
Pretty good.
Good one.
Pretty good.
Classic
one.
Jimmy.
How about y'all? Classic Jimmy.
Dude, I really liked actually to piggyback on the mailman. He jumps off, misses, eats it, and then he's like, "Never seen a postman move so fast." It's like, because he reached terminal velocity. That guy's super dead.
He's on the top of
They're
a
not
giant
focusing on that,
silo.
though.
Right? I don't know.
Like what? What's that joke? Is that? I mean, it
I
may be
don't
lost
know.
on us because it's almost. 20
you
years
don't
later.
run into like postmen or whatever. The
know.
postmen are lazy. Is that what you're getting at? You have a problem with the United States Postal Service, Jimmy Lee?
Government workers.
You go
Critiquing-
deliver some
yeah.
mail. I don't see you doing anything productive with your day.
I will say if they were actual postmen, I'd be like, all right, that makes sense. But if it's some sort of joke, it did not stand up the test of time.
No.
Some of y'all's favorite lines.
What do you got, Stacey?
All right, well, so one moment that I really appreciated, and it was one of those like rare moments where the comedy kind of worked, and it was subtle comedy, was I think it's Shuko who yells it, and he goes, "Huey Lewis, any news?"
That was amazing.
Oh, that was so good.
That was amazing.
Unacceptable.
It was beautiful.
like-
It was
Unacceptable.
beautiful.
Patrick, you got anything?
You know, I mean, we've touched on a few of them. I think far and away, like, and it wasn't even close. My favorite line was, "Who's the boss now?" I really like Shuko yelling, "I just want total domination
Oh
of
my
one
God,
major
yes.
American city. Is that too much to ask? Is it, huh?" I kind of loved that.
He reverted into a little 5-year-old. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I think you might have said this. I'm not sure if it was on mic or off mic, but him walking, his parting line, saying like, "You think I'm bad? Wait for my lawyers."
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Also, one of the all-time movie greats. I think it's up there.
You're weak like your father. You're ugly like your mother.
Good comeback. You just had
That's
just
wonderful.
waiting on that one.
Solid
yeah,
90s comeback.
That was real,
Absolutely.
real good.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a stretch. There weren't many, and like I feel the need to come back to head case because just
no.
what. All of those zingers, I think, were the lines that, you know, when in retrospect, I'll cherish the most.
Oh, we had some amazing zingers. I mean, they were calling people butt heads, butt kiss, all
Whoa.
over the place. I mean, we were getting really serious.
A little bit too much butt for my
There's a
taste.
lot of butt.
A lot.
of butt. What's up?
There was.
Chicken butt.
A lot of
lot
butt.
of chicken
It was
butt.
really nice.
There was not a lot of dialogue though.
No.
There were, in a movie that should be based on lore, and I use air quotes on that. Not a lot of dialogue.
No,
Lore-
I mean, but what are you gonna do with
Or
it?
that randomly gets Roman.
Yeah, have you heard the story of Romulus and Remus?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was.
What movie are we watching again?
Why are we talking
Can
about the
all
Romulus?
Show
over
the
the place.
postman again. Put him back on the air.
If that
Stop
guy
talking.
gave the speech,
I'm back on
Absolutely.
board.
Oscar worthy.
Again,
Excellent.
mix in like an animated Abobo, have that guy have some more airtime. This movie is 2 degrees away from being awesome.
Almost.
I'm changing. This is why this therapy is good for me,
It's
guys.
good to talk
This
through
is
it.
Really
really good.
helps.
I feel like I feel better. This is,
All right, so let's get to another fun part of the show. This is where we recast the movie. Now,
oh, hell yeah, we do.
I am of the party that would love to see if it's this specific movie, we can give it a better shot. But if they make Neon, if they make Double Dragon Neon, then we'd be all over it.
Okay.
Right.
So let's start. I put on a Bobo for funsies. So just because we have the picture of it, if you would be so kind, this man is a pro wrestler named Brian Cage.
Okay.
His surname is The Machine.
Yep.
And he's and I credited Nils for his acting, but this dude can do anything physical that you want. He's thrown 2 people at the same time.
Okay.
So I think he could have fun with it.
Yep.
So I'd say him or John Cena. Because John Cena, if he would play the comedic side of it,
Yep.
and he's pretty well sized.
I saw John Cena in the movie Sisters.
Yes,
over this
and he's
weekend.
really
He
funny in that.
Destroys
He's
in
a
that
great
film.
actor.
Destroys. Way underrated. So I'm on board.
How about
Me
y'all?
too. So thinking more kind of pre-crazy steroid injection.
That's
Yes.
me too.
Nicholas Holt.
I like
I
Nicole.
thought would be a
Oh.
really fun.
All right.
Abobo.
All right. I'm picturing it.
How about
It
you,
took me a
Bevan?
minute. Okay, so like I'm sticking with. So I'm creating a wacky version of this
gosh.
movie.
I would expect nothing less from you.
Of course. So I'm sticking with the animated theme, and I'm going the Coltrane from the Gears of War franchise. Woo!
I love me some Coltrane.
And when he gets mutated, just make him bigger. Woo! He keeps his helmet on from his smash ball the
Right.
entire time, because why take that off in New Los Angeles?
All right.
And it fits with the post-apocalyptic
Totally.
nature of Sarah.
Stu
Got that.
Coltrane, man.
All right.
And now you're
That's
getting
my
me-
Bobo.
I've been in a Gears mood for a while. And I've
So have
not been
I.
able to play
Cannot
it.
wait.
I love it. All right.
gosh.
Did anybody have a second for a Bobo?
No, that was it. What do you got?
Casey?
I had a kind of not serious one. He went with Koga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Then let's go the crazy
Yeah.
ones with Koga.
All right.
Let's go with the crazy ones with Koga. Go ahead.
Oh, all right. Well, so my pairing for this one was Wentworth Miller as Koga, who is actually a serious choice.
Wow.
Wentworth Miller.
But
Yeah, it's a serious
with
choice.
him as his Abobo would be Dominic Purcell. 'Cause- Come on. Like,
Yeah, I can see that. I like that. I went really. I don't know where my head was at.
All right.
But I would love to see Idris Elba. Because Robert
No.
Patrick was a serious actor.
On board.
And then it's like, here, play this wacky boss character.
Which he clearly knows.
Oh, totally.
Right? Like, he
Yeah.
is so bored in this film. That scene where he's uniting the gangs, I could just see him going, what am I doing here? I was
No,
on
I think,
Terminator.
Done.
I think it's the opposite. I think he thought that the subtitle for this movie was Double Dragon Paycheck. Because he was just like, whatever, just whatever.
What- yeah.
Getting through it.
What
you
about
got?
y'all? What's your
for
one, Patrick?
Shuko?
For Koga Shuko.
Oh, come on, man. This is, I'm also going wacky, but he's a little serious and a little dark. I'm going actually Edward Norton. I want him to be really kind of twisted, but kind of goofy
But
over the top of
that's
it.
it. The problem is I can see him perfectly because
Right.
he's got the same hair, he's got the same look.
That look.
Oh, all right. I can
But
see
I would
that.
like to see him have a little bit more fun with this role.
Yeah, totally.
That'd be fun.
Okay.
I also
Get
put
into
Andy
it.
Serkis because he
Ooh,
could
that's
then
a
do his
good
own mocap
one.
for the shadow,
Right.
and he is super intense.
he
Oh, yeah.
is. He could pull that off.
I'm behind
a little
that.
bit more so. Did you have a second?
So, kind of going a totally different direction, a little bit younger, but a little more terrifying. Ewan Rowan,
I like him. I
Who's
like
he
him a
in?
lot.
What's he in?
Pete Ramsey Bolton, Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah. That guy's
You use a lot
terrifying.
of GOT
He's
people.
very,
I love
which
that
I'm
show,
okay with.
okay?
And that guy's something's just a little off with that guy. Like something
Right?
bad happened to him as a child. Like I'm
there's-
nervous. He's a weird nervous energy. I'm on
Yeah.
board.
I like
So
it.
that's good
He needs to
cast.
play the
And we
part.
got our female lead, Marian. Did anybody stick with Alyssa Milano? No? All right, moving on.
I mean,
What do y'all got?
I got Hit Girl herself from Kick-Ass. I went
Okay.
Chloe Grace
Grace
Moretz.
Moretz. I like that.
Yep. She could lead a gang. She's tough as shit.
Yeah, I like that. What do you got?
But also funny.
Yeah. So my first one, Alexandra Daddario.
I like her
All
a
right,
lot
yeah,
too.
not bad, not bad.
Yeah.
She,
Yep.
She kind of has that.
I could see that.
I would.
She would
Punk
rock
look.
a graffiti jacket.
Absolutely. That
I
that
kinda-
was the main
No
casting
lie, I
choice.
kind
can't believe I
jacket.
Great.
didn't
Kind of want it.
I didn't fall into the idea of playing this jokingly. I went really serious for some reason.
Alright.
Zoe Saldana,
Oh yeah, totally.
just as a tough quote unquote gang leader.
Totally, and she would have a whole crew following her,
Totally.
little ninjas going
Oh,
everywhere
yeah.
with her, on
Sticking
board.
with-
Totally,
sticking with the
Oh,
oh yeah, I
ninjas.
got you.
I dig it.
Yep.
Or Gugu Mabatha Raw from Concussion.
Haven't seen it.
Haven't seen it?
No.
She is awesome.
Okay.
Alright.
Super awesome.
And that
he-
film's worth watching.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a good airplane
that.
film.
So it's like this or
good
Double
airplane
Dragon,
movie.
Concussion, Double Dragon, Concussion, Double Dragon.
by a hair
Yeah,
concussion.
Okay.
Oh,
By
wow.
a hair
Wow.
concussion.
All right.
And then let's go to our stars. Let's start with Jimmy Lee. I went one serious, one comedic.
Okay.
Did you?
Dante Basco.
Oh, that's
Prince Zuko.
great.
From Avatar.
Okay,
Rufio.
Okay.
And I just because I would love to see him in this role, but then I went Harry Shum Jr. He was just in the newest Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. He's in Shadowhunters.
Okay.
Glee. Yeah.
Yeah.
He came into the studio. Really nice guy,
Yep.
but he can handle himself in a fight. So you got Harry
You,
too?
you just took my
Wow.
first choice.
Look
Yeah.
at that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
So it's
Thought it
one
would've-
of
Meant to
them.
be. Meant to be.
Thought I would hit you with Dante Basco. Do you have another one?
I do. I kind of a odd one.
I like odd.
Taylor Lautner.
Lautner.
All
I was
right.
thinking about it.
All right. That's
I
not
wanted to
bad.
go
It's
a
not
little
that
more
weird. Why do you
Asian
think
with
it's
this
weird?
one.
Yeah. There's
Bella. Jessica, put your shirt on. No.
you know, in that vein of things.
It was hard
No.
to take him seriously.
It
He's
was.
still attached
Was?
to Stretch Armstrong.
Was
He's still attached to
Yeah,
lead to
that's-
be the lead in Stretch Armstrong.
hard to take him seriously.
Fair play.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
What was the action movie where he was the star?
Don't know. I remember though. I remember like
Oh.
it was
Really
like
weird.
generic action guy. The film. So, yeah,
He had to like
totally-
protect somebody
Yep.
and whatever.
Yeah.
What do you got? Patrick?
I got a pair, right? So I'm casting them
Okay.
both at the same time because
Very nice.
I very much feel like I want the spirit of this film to be Franklin and Bash. So I've got Breckenmeyer and Mark Paul Gosselaar.
I like
As
that
a
lot.
comedic, like they're kind of brothers, they're kind of goofy. Brecken's the little goofy, dorky one who really
Brecken
can't
is
throw a
Billy?
punch. Yeah,
That's a good choice.
thanks,
Alright.
not bad.
I mean, a little bit older.
I mean, yeah,
But-
they're older, but like again, it's CGI, and we'll young them up a little bit.
happen.
Young him up a
fine.
bit. All right, fair play. That's pretty good. So, do you have another Billy?
No, I have those two. I did cast Lash, but I was curious to see if you guys.
Did not cast Lash.
I wrote down the words. Literally anybody.
I have forgotten
Anybody could
that
play
she
Lash.
was in the movie.
Lash didn't
I'm
live up to her
Literally
potential.
so
anybody.
sad.
It's like you put Lash in the movie, and like teasing the whip, like nothing. You got nothing out of her.
Literally.
They were,
It
you know what
was-
they were doing? Saving her for the sequel.
Dog. So I looked
That's
at
what
like
they
I
were
had the
doing.
IMDb. I was so curious to see what other cinematic greats or achievements she's been in, and it's like a lot of like she's like a lifelong soap star. She's worked a lot.
She has.
No whip work though. This was
was
like her
so-
only whip title, which I feel like is a
Um,
gross underutilization of her.
Really quickly, I would like to
Skills.
go to the air and thank your husband. If you go follow Nerds Doing Stuff on Twitter because they posted an in memoriam photo of our beloved mailman.
Oh, did they?
Yep, beloved.
Oh, it's
From
beautiful.
94 to
Oh.
94, our beloved falling postman. So follow Nerds
Beautiful.
Doing Stuff, retweet that photo. Absolutely fantastic. Who did you have for Billy?
For Billy, Grant Gustin.
I like him a
My
lot.
choice.
Very cool.
We kind of play that funny, but still
Sure,
has that
sure,
edge of
sure,
serious
sure.
to him.
I'm still a little bit sore that he's not the front runner for Han Solo. So Taron Egerton, he can do comedy kind of subtly.
Yep.
Still don't know his American accent, but forget it. He
Yeah,
doesn't
who
have to
cares?
do it.
Yep.
New Angeles is a completely different type
Somewhere
of
in
city.
China. We're not concerned about that.
Somewhere
Yes.
in the world.
Yeah.
China?
Not concerned.
And now I'm going to redo that frame and say China. And I also put, as a really serious choice, Michael B. Jordan.
We should just cast it. He comes up
He's-
once a week. I
you
feel
know
like
what?
we have. Yeah, I feel like we
And it
have
took
him a lot.
everything to not put Oscar Isaacs as Jimmy. But as our Oscar Isaacs award goes to Jimmy Lee, because why not?
Yeah, he comes up every show.
Final thoughts on Double Dragon.
Just bring on more. Why? What
More
are we
Double
looking for? Let's bring on all of the Double Dragon.
You can watch it on my behalf.
All of the Double Dragon.
I will say, and I told this to Steven, the producer of Popcorn Talk, when we started Video Game Movie Anatomy,
Yes.
I went I haven't seen Double Dragon. I've heard everything about Double Dragon. I can't wait to do
Yes.
Double Dragon.
How you feeling now?
Yeah.
How you feeling now?
You know what? I feel a little bit accomplished.
Do you?
So we're officially ending the show. No, totally kidding. Totally
Wow.
kidding.
We've
We actually
done
have
it.
we have a huge
We are.
slate.
Okay.
We have a huge slate coming up.
Yes, we do.
No reason to slow down. The problem is watching these movies now. I can see where the choices were made for what they wanted
Totally.
to do studio-wise,
Yep.
Yes.
and when that doesn't pull through, it makes me try to find the good in it. And it was a little bit harder in this one.
I'm glad I'm in
Very
this with
hard.
you guys. If this was like a solo project and I was looking straight into a camera every week, I would just start weeping by the end of it, and I would be worse and worse. It would be a descent into madness.
It would just be videos
Instead,
of
I
Patrick
do
crying.
totally
Just
right.
sobbing into the
The
mic.
sad emo Dees just watching stuff, but like I feel like I come here, I feel better. It's cathartic.
Really quickly,
Support group.
It is.
Justin Bass in the chat, Daniel Day-Lewis as I would assume Koga Shuko.
My man.
All right.
Steven Seagal, I would assume as Roided Out Abobo. That's from Gregory
Also
Castillo.
very
Gregory
good.
Castillo.
Yes.
Thank
we've
you,
got
chat.
we've got folks from Chile, Sebastian Idoria, watching us from Chile. Thank you for joining us. Other folks in chat, Fantasy Stats Guru, Jeff 2886, Lori Brown. Thank you everybody
Yeah.
for joining us. E3 Productions also joining us. Everybody's joining us at the last minute. Go ahead and rewind us. Watch the show from the beginning. Or find us on iTunes. If you go on iTunes, rate us, leave us stars, because we're trying to increase the reach of the show and get guests. We actually have some stuff planned that I'll talk about at the end of the show. But is there any hope for the future of Double Dragon in film? So are you gonna? So here's what we do. This is our rating system. It's essentially a yes or no question. It's, do we give the film an extra life, where we give it another chance? We want to see it achieve the heights that we always knew it could, or game over. Never see it again.
I'm conflicted here. I'm gonna go ahead and go game over for Double Dragon, extra life for New Los Angeles. Let's
Yes.
see the origin
do
story.
that too?
Let's get in the moment. Like the quake is happening, the gangs are taking over. This is what I want.
Yeah, they had some great ideas for the setting. I mean, there was a lot of potential in that setting, but everything. I don't know if I could survive another movie like that.
So here's my case.
Let's hear it.
Double Dragon Neon.
Yes, sir.
Takes the idea of the 80s and retro and all of that and makes it super tongue-in-cheek.
All right.
We've been listening to the soundtrack literally the entire episode.
best.
If that hasn't done enough
It's
to
the best.
convince you of this game, it's super, like, once you beat a boss, they do a little bit of air guitar. It's a fun game. It's an awesome game. It takes the whole retro vibe and makes it a part of the game. So if we had a tongue-in-cheek, legitimate comedy, like,
Very
retro
s-
is super in right now.
But I get what you're saying.
Right.
Very self-aware, right? Like
Yeah.
knows what it is, right? Yeah.
With the right people involved,
sure.
you could make a franchise. There
You
isn't
could do a lot of things.
You
Should
could.
you do
Yes.
those things?
fair, but we don't have a. Do we have a huge, aside from Kung Fu Panda, do we have a huge martial arts comedic staple in film right now?
Is there an economic imperative to do so, right? Like if there were
Is that what the people want?
Yeah, right.
Fair
like
play.
the market would bear that out if they were in need.
I think it something could be said for it if we have a similar soundtrack. It's got a completely different idea. Like they go to space. Like you think you beat the game, and it turns
now
out
you're onto
there's
something.
a pagoda that just launches
I'm
into
here.
space. Seriously,
Yeah.
it's an
Just
awesome game.
The longer he talks, the more I'm
It's
on
a
board.
super awesome
Yeah,
game,
they're
and you
selling
can
it.
even break it up and turn it into a Netflix series. I say that every week, or anything. Neon is an awesome game. You can get it for pretty cheap these days. Check it out, buy it, and that's the one that makes me go, okay, Double Dragon needs a future on film, so I'm going to give it an extra life.
I feel like every week we find this way to like we use this section to be like, how could we possibly make it maybe potentially bearable to watch, as opposed to let's just put it down, Old Yeller in the back, be done with it.
I mean, and needless to say, Double Dragon is not a viable property right now. Like, if there was a time to strike, it would have
Right.
been 6 months, up to 6 months
Sure.
after Neon.
Yep.
Because
Right.
it wasn't a huge release. It wasn't an in-store release. It was
Right.
just digital. But
But
yeah, they could do it if they wanted to. That means that the rights are cheaper now.
there you go. There you go. Look at this constant
Okay,
silver
there we go.
lining.
Why not?
Find
That's
it.
why he's leading the therapy session. Right? He's making us
that's
feel better
me.
on the side of the table. I know,
What's
right?
the support we need?
So before we sign off really quickly, the summer is filled with a whole bunch of video game movies and some big releases coming up too. So May 2nd, we're going to be doing Ratchet and Clank. Make sure to see that opening weekend because we're going to be right back that Monday. And we're working on a guest for that show. So get excited.
Yes.
Play the game. Actually, go to your local store. Go to Redbox. Find the Ratchet and Clank game if you want the movie spoiled.
Yes. If you want the movie spoiled,
But you've been playing it.
I've been playing it.
And
It's wonderful.
But you've been a Ratchet and Clank fan since the beginning.
Since the very beginning, and it's wonderful. It's a lot of fun. It has a lot of the throwback, same feel kind of stuff up in the story.
Needless to say, we're really excited about Ratchet and Clank.
Yes.
It's going to be a positive episode of the show. May 16th, I'm just going to go down our slate. Why not? May 16th, we're going to be doing Doom. So we're going to throw all of that right out the window. That Doom's another one that I've been looking to see because it's a test of whether The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, can make any role popular.
Pump the brakes. Have you not seen the
I have
Doom
not seen
movie?
Doom.
Oh, cannot wait.
Pretty excited about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stay with us because this is going to be a ride. We're going to see if Mr. Silver Linings over there can find one for Doom.
Oh, I totally will.
I bet you will.
I'm sure he will.
Let's get a little bit of the Doom song going.
Wonderful.
Down upon the filthy heads of our doomed enemies. I gotta sing the doom song now.
Please
Thank
don't.
you. All right, so making that go through. We also have May 30th. We're going to be doing Angry Birds.
We are.
And then June 13th, we're going to be doing Warcraft.
Duncan Jones.
I'm pretty excited about all of those movies.
Are you optimistic about Warcraft?
I am optimistic about Warcraft in IMAX 3D, and that alone.
Sold.
So
Okay.
Hey,
that is
Mark.
our slate, sir.
Are you guys gonna do Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? It's technically
That-
a game. Now we have Craig in it, so
That's going to be that's probably going to be a cheat movie. Why not?
It's like he really doesn't like us.
No,
I feel like
there's a couple of cheat movies that we already have planned. Maybe if we go the opposite way and do movies and games that kind of iconic movies that have games for them, whatever.
sure.
So yes, our next show, May 2nd, will be Ratchet and Clank, so stay tuned to that. But until then, where can the folks find you? What are you working on?
Well, I'm working at Yield Nerd or at Nerds Doing Stuff. We got a couple of things coming up lately. We're working on a few things, surprises.
Surprises?
Surprises.
Yeah,
I mean,
surprises.
Your
No.
cosplay stuff has been getting pretty notable.
Yeah, we're working on that. We've got a couple of things. Comic-Con's probably going to be kind of low-key. But we'll have some other stuff.
Too busy doing all that biz and Nerds Doing Stuff. Love it.
What's going on?
Fair enough. You can find me at P to the D's on Twitter. I also host a video game podcast called Pixel by Pixel. We talk about a bunch of nonsense. Games that we like. I'm the positive one on that show.
That's-
So literally, I like liking things. I'm on that show talking
flipped
about
the
great.
switch.
I know. Come here. I'm so angry.
Find out about all your biggest gaming news from Mr. Patrick Dees. And you can find me on Twitter at Mark Donica. I also host Jedi Alliance here on the Popcorn Talk Network. If you're a fan of Star Wars, go check it out. Today we reviewed the Blu-ray, all of the special features. It was a pretty dang good time. And then also, AfterBuzz TV, our sister site, I host a lot of the wrestling stuff over there. We have the Daredevil finale on Wednesday. So I finally watched it. Done. The mind is gone.
Is
and
it?
Yeah. And
right.
I'm excited for Luke Cage in the fall. But hear all of our thoughts Wednesday night after Buzz TV. Remember, May 2nd, join us back here for Ratchet and Clank. Follow all of us here at The Popcorn Talk. Leave us a review on iTunes. Leave us a rating down below and a comment. And we will see you at the arcade.
Thanks for watching.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.